Oh, you're doing a very secret mission back in time, and if you have the memory, something that wants to scan your memory, like such as AI or whatever, and get that strategy to go back in time and undo what you created, it will be for naught. So a lot of the times, a lot of this will keep in memory until the point where we clear ourselves of monitors at the deepest core level. Um, to
That
where
makes sense. That makes logical sense what you're saying.
and then also like imagine all these people, time traveler factions in time that are viewing the future potential of different streams that deviate off of each choice point and have goals for subjects that last into the future and solidify. They have a formula for what it takes to do that, and some of that takes amnesia as well as continuation. And a lot of these timelines that we're on in dilation will interfere with this timeline. Sometimes we're gone for more than a minute, more than minutes, hours, days, years, or if it's like really advanced and you have life extension technology, then it depends. But it it will interfere with this timeline if we know about it, especially if we're in a relationship and we had to like we would have been alone in a timeline for a while, and we were like, no, we can't do that, so we got formed a relationship in that timeline, and then they usually don't need us to be exclusive because they understand how love works and all this other stuff. So like when we come back, it's good to have them not interfere with each other in relationships, depending. Because like being here, like knowing that we have whatever relationship somewhere else, that would interfere with us wanting to like engage. Like, oh, am I betraying them? It's like we need to continue on this path as if it's a whole separate dream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that makes total sense. Like you might be heartbroken and yearn for some person in another dimension, and that's messing with your timeline here or something, right?
Yeah. So there will be a stream of list of timelines that are beneficial for you to remember first, and you can start like a remembering chamber technology vision. It's like past life regression, but like where you meditate into your own dream room of being able to recall certain scenarios, and you train that ability to get better and better, as well as there's like certain switches that will be unlocked that allow it to just flow into the knowingness, as well as a dream recall where you experience it, or there's a few other methods, but yeah, it
Okay.
depends on the contracts for the person and what's the best timeline for them.
Now, Sean, I'm starting to realize something here, and I don't know if I like suspected this already, but I'm starting to somehow realize that you're some type of shaman or something. Is that what's going on, or what's the deal? You have some kind of sensitivities or something, right? I mean, okay.
Yeah, yeah. I usually like to stay away from titles because I think they're a little bit egoic. But like, yeah, I'm essentially somebody that has unlocked a lot of past life memory and a whole bunch of time travel awareness and brought it all into one uh, like fractal seconds of unpacking. And so I'm like all these lives of myself in one being, and then folding that in a way that is comfortable and happy for me, and it's never boring.
Yeah, I bet. Oh wow, I
But
bet.
yeah, I will go by a lot of titles based on all the different skill sets I have. I guess I believe shaman is based on its word. It's like a person that knows. So yeah, I've been initiated in a lot of different spectrums. Yeah.
All right, that's fair
So
enough. No, so let me ask you this, and I don't know if you even necessarily get any type of feeling or anything like this, but these people that I sent you a picture of, or especially this one person. I mean, am I, are my, I don't know. I don't. Are my suspicions correct, or what? Do you have any? Should I be staying away from her, or what? What's?
Well, with the handling, or
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think that she might have. I think she may have completed her mission, whatever that may have been, and it may be over. I don't know. But she tells me it's never over, and she's not talking about as like a handler, but like just as lovers or whatever. But she's got like superhuman powers. She's a very unusual person. She like when she enters a room, like it's just she has the power to influence people, and there's no man that can resist her. I mean, it's amazing. I'm not saying there's not any man that can resist her, but there might be a handful. But I mean, it's just she's something else.
So based on your interaction with her, how would you describe her energy when you interact with her? And are you having did you say you had a falling out with her, or?
Oh well, it's been mostly a torture chamber. The whole thing has just been a torture chamber. But I'm so enthralled by her superhuman sexual abilities that I've just been unable to, extricate myself from the situation. But recently, she's changed where she's not as mean. She's kind of nice to me now, But she was it's just hell on earth for the longest. And it's so embarrassing for me to admit this because I've never let anyone treat me badly, but I was trying to understand why I let this person treat me like this, and it's just because she was kind of like famous in our town when we were growing up. She was kind of like almost like a celebrity, and so I think I was maybe in love with the idea of her as much. But yeah, I've also been told that I was somehow working for her grandfather that was trying to get her extricated from her situation. But she's in it. They're never going to let her go. I don't think. It's
Is she wanting to free herself from things that are trying to dominate her, like spiritually and unseen?
Yeah. She's tried to, but she's not recognizing the fact that there's actually a group of humans involved that are directly involved, and that she's probably has some of her memories wiped, and that she's still active. I think she's a Monarch Asset. I'm just certain of it, and she does. She doesn't believe that.
Okay, so I'm gonna be careful what I say because I don't have any ill will towards her whatsoever. But she's got a lot of things trying to control her in the seen and unseen. She's got some rare DNA of many different types. And she uses that into her technology. Her spirit is interesting. I'm not seeing more than what I'm allowed based on her higher self. And I already ran into versions of herself. So yeah, I'm not going to say anything bad, but yeah, she's got a lot of things trying to haunt her and keep her in a dark form of power, as well as connected to succubus, incubus grids of different types. So that will play on the sexual harvesting aspect. So if she wants to free herself from that, it will take quite a bit of work because they don't want to let her go because of her energy having a large amount of authority to continue a large amount of things that they want to hold up. But if she wants to, she can. It just take work and pointing and shooting at the correct targets for resolution as well as peace into the motivation behind why they want her so badly, and then bringing that to wholeness because it's fracturing her by taking her energy, taking her parts, and continuing a loop of connection to them, no matter because they really want to monitor, control her timeline based on what she could become with all the influences and connections to them. has.
Yeah, I don't know that she wants to get away from it, and I don't know, but and anyway, it's just a weird deal.
Yeah, yeah. The things we got to deal with in the unseen.
Yeah, I know it.
Universe and ourselves. So.
Yeah, and yeah, so and one of my like psychics, I really only have three, but it's like she's like falling in love with me or something, and I was really attracted to her from the beginning anyway. So I don't know what's going on with that, but she doesn't live in the same state that I live in. But I'm interested in women that interest me. You know what I mean? And so I develop relationships and friendships and stuff like that. You know, and my life's not really that boring either. It's wild.
So what are you wanting to bring your life in like aspects of a perfect relationship for you in like getting past the layers of things that don't want you to meet that one that's perfect for you, or
well, I don't know. I've more or less been focused on my mission really my whole life, and so the thing is, I told you those first two stages or whatever, and I'm in the third stage now, which I used to see as becoming a rock star, and I now see it as becoming like famous or whatever, because it's somehow necessary for this final phase, which is that I am to be a world leader.
Yeah, so like I do get that you're a leader in spirit because of who you've been before, and like I've seen you in the unseen. If I'm allowed to say, am I allowed to say a little bit? I'm not gonna say the big things. So I've seen you with different amounts of authority to bring to conclusion resolution in council meetings of different types, in interaction with other species in inner Earth, as well as yeah, okay, I'll be vague with this. There's like a thing where a chess game where psionic specialists, super soldiers, different super scientists, different skill sets that people will be brought into seeing a value of different human and non-human projects that will unlock altars in them that include a past life memory of sometime they knew a certain skill set, or even if they learned it this lifetime. And some of the projects are negative, some of the positive, negative, neutral, and like extraterrestrial or time travel groups I usually will see. And when you're like involved in negative ones, or like somewhat negative coming into neutral because their timeline changes, every individual involved has a chess move for how that manifests, how that goes into the future. And as they heal themselves, the fractal aspect of themselves that is the universe heals that in reflection, and that their ultimate chess move is to bring that project that's targeting a bunch of people out of a negative spectrum into a neutral and then eventually a positive spectrum for the future that could be reclaimed by whatever is necessary for it, whether it be like a project like Project Ibis, which is like a thing going into targeting spirits that are powerful divinity and deity type spirits that are incarnating into human bodies, and trying to get them to do things like soldier psionics, or even specialized groups. And that project name is to accumulate power from the deity it's using the name from, and stealing energy from it to support its existence in the future how they want it to be, which is how the dark functions. They don't have their own authority to manifest things. They have to steal it from things. So a lot of those projects will have names after like deities throughout history and be anchored into different countries, and then be in a state of fluctuation of, because it's not in our seen world, it is not set in stone, be changeable. And then the chess game ensues, in which you'll find people like Max Casvold and Max Spears and other super soldiers that have found ways to take greater control into themselves, whether it be negative or a balanced form of oneness control with the universe, of like unity, to where it gets taken out of the hands of the dark controllers and brought into a state of benefit for the planet, which is a lot of our goals, having to do with the bases.
Having to do with the bases? What do you mean the bases? The underground bases?
Yeah, that. And like I'm alluding to like your name in Texas.
Bases, Texas. Yeah, right.
Well, the people that involve themselves into this topic that are searchable.
Are you talking about military bases?
Yeah, that will be the military ones, but I'm not just talking about them, because this will also be ones that are interacting with other species or groups. But yeah, they'll have bases of different kinds. I guess that's like something that can be used in many different ways to describe it. Yeah.
Well, that's fascinating. You know, the whole concept of bases. You've heard of course, William Cooper, Bill Cooper.
Never.
The famous, conspiracy theorist, and it's so interesting. In his most famous book, "Behold a Pale Horse," he accused my great uncle of being the man who got these so-called dumb, joint military alien bases going. He accuses him in that book by name.
Really?
Yeah.
It's interesting. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
So, like, do you know much about that?
About the dumb bases?
So he says he got them up and running. So, like, is that like a period of time that is specified, or because like when I look at bases have been made for like a long time. Are you talking about like recent military history of like the U.S. or?
Definitely. My great uncle controlled every dime of the United States defense budget for over 40 years, and he created the NSA, the CIA, the FBI, and NASA. So he was a very powerful man, and no one's ever tried to refute these claims because none of it's a secret. So it's fascinating.
It's like that. It's like an interconnected web of all these rabbit holes.
Yeah, or the National Security Act of 1947. Obviously, there was a lot going on there, but the thing that's in public knowledge most is that he was in charge of the Manhattan Project. Not in charge. All of these things, he wasn't the scientist or any of these things. He was the guy who wrote the check.
He brought it together with the financing. That's interesting.
Yeah, it was all done with taxpayers' dollars, but ultimately somebody's name's got to go on that check, and it was always his name. And he did all these meetings and stuff, and he was just almost never said anything. And he was the chairperson of these meetings, and he made a lot of big decisions and stuff. And we're from a family of dirt farmers from, ultimately from maybe from Louisiana, but then Texas, and everything like that. But there's some type of pharaonic thing going on. I don't know what it is.
Have you looked into that? How far have you gone in research in your lineage?
Researched genealogy?
Yeah. Because most people it stops after a certain point, but the newer ones aren't even the most interesting that I view into, the amount of rare DNA that we each hold.
Yeah. Fun. And one thing about this Tartarian deal, it's interesting that most people can in their knowledge of their genealogy doesn't go past 150 years. Most people. And I was so I have looked at my genealogy a little bit, and there's been other relatives who have been more interested in this and who have done some work. But I just know that just basically just come from farmers and stuff. And as far as like genetics, all three of my four grandparents had blonde hair, blue eyes. And all of my cousins, me and my brothers, our cousins, they all have blonde hair, blue eyes, except for me and my brother, and we have brown hair and brown eyes. And there was they say that on my dad's, part of the family, where there was a woman who was a kind of a darker complected woman, and so we think in the Old West, we think, oh, well, somebody, married an indigenous Native American, that's probably what happened. But now our understanding of what even quote unquote Indians are is changing, because we're now realizing, hey, what's really going on? It's not.
Yeah. So what do you know you have? I got my family knows that they have native, Shata, German, Irish, Scottish, a bunch of like stuff into Egypt, a lot of other stuff besides that, because they would breed a lot of eclectic outside their own race. So.
Well, it's I just know that I assume that if I'm part American Indian, and I don't claim that, but I assume it's probably a pretty small part, and we know nothing about it because that this wasn't popular back in the day to claim this, and so these things were lost. But really, just through names and stuff like that, I know that I'm basically I'm part English, but mostly Scot and Irish, and it's real weird because my names are real weird, and they the national hero of Scotland, and I mean not Scotland, of Ireland, and everyone over there knows this, is a man called Brian Boru, or Brian Boru, or whatever. But he had a title, and his title was King Mahon, and that is my name, King Mahon.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense then.
And I've got another name, and that's my first name, and it's Durward. And if you take that word apart, you see it means gatekeeper. Dur, door, ward, like a warden of a prison. But I've since found out only a couple years ago that actually it's pronounced Jurd, and this is the original word for the bastardized word that we now have, druid. So
it makes sense then. Like, if I may, I have ability to read DNA. So like, that's like when I look into Irish Celtic, there's a lot. I mean, it connects back to Egypt bloodlines and a lot of like immigrations from Atlantis and realm bleed overs of different types, and so like Druid DNA, that's good. Yeah, I'm getting that's like all that for sure. And then that connects with some royal bloodlines for sure, and then they accumulated a bunch. And it goes really far back because, like, after a while, it's like not just human stuff, but also humanoid and like different hominids that have been on the planet. And,
one thing I can say, just in conclusion on this deal about names, I've always been into names. And I come from on my mom's side, a family of educators and stuff, and we used to have this big. My grandparents' house had a big 1957 Merriam-Webster dictionary, just this huge dictionary. And so I was curious about my last name, what that meant, Mahon. There's different ways to pronounce it, but it was actually in this dictionary, and I looked it up, and it basically has two definitions. And the first one is hellhound, and the second one is Satan. And I thought that was really bizarre, but I reasoned it out that imagine if you had these clans, these Scottish clans and stuff like this, if you were one of the smaller ones, you'd absolutely want to have some terrible name that put everybody in fear just so they didn't come, run off with your wife and kids and steal all your food and stuff. So,
yeah.
And I don't even know, I don't even think, as far as I know, Satan's a Christian concept, so I don't even know where that even came from, but.
Yeah, and then like what it was previously. before that. So like a lot of your DNA I'm getting is secret. So I'm not allowed to talk about it in air, and your higher self is like adamant about that. But I am getting a few things I'm allowed to talk about. Let me see what that is. Ooh. Oh, okay, I can't even talk about that one. Okay. Jeez. Okay, what can I talk about on live air? Sorry, it'll take me a while because I gotta edit.
No, that's all right. Take your time. I've always felt like that there's some type of spirits are so interested in my activities, and maybe there is.
Okay, so you got a combining factor I see with a thing you're doing where you're preparing for the future in a, I guess a lot of people are doing a similar thing, but not to the extent that you're pooling in different types of genetics. Things where imagine a person's higher self go back in time and bring all these genetics and influence to make up what they'll be incarnating in as a immortal technology going into the future. You're finding different equations of happen in time and introduction of rare genetics in the light as well as the dark and bringing them into one to have a balance and unity and bringing an end to wars that have been going on with these for way before this. So part of that will be making an equation of uniting with your light and your dark aspect and bringing them to peace with each other and oneness of, in eventuality, as well as all your ancestors and their constant drama, which each second you're going in being as you heal yourself heals them.
Wow, that's some powerful stuff you're saying there. That's some very powerful. And you're not the first person to tell me almost word for word something like that.
And if I'm getting this right, you have pulled a lot of the powerful dark bloodlines into your genetics as well. And I'm reading that you have a purpose for doing that, and you have, for the most part, shielded them off from incurring on you to a huge dramatic degree. But there's always more improvement.
Right.
And then, yeah, the light we can talk about privately later, but
yeah,
they're quite interesting as well. As am I allowed to say no? I'm not allowed. Okay.
Hey, I you know what? Somehow they can't fuck with me. There might be forces that would like to fuck with me, and I just have some type of protection. I don't like try to rely on that, but I know that's there.
Yeah. Most people couldn't really handle that much dark genetics without having the counterbalance that you have. Like most people would like just completely succumb to them because the dark genetics are like an open portal that try to influence the new generations, monitor them and steal their energy for authority to prop themselves up. So,
yeah, I
able to combat that with your positive entourage genetics, which is
well, I already know that I love the people, you know, like the humans and stuff like that. I love them, and so they're they're going to want me to, you know, I'm not going to say I'm not going to do anything bad, but I'm not going to. They know I'm going to buck. They already know I'm going to buck.
Right. I'm also going to get a little off this topic because I also am getting messages that because we're in this form of medium, and in the super soldier world, there are certain people that are looking for people of rare, powerful genetics, and it's kind of like I'm trying not to make it a catalog of an easy place for them to find this.
Right.
We can talk about this.
Right. I understand. Yeah. So I understand. So it's best to, I guess, get on another topic or whatever.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So what kind of things have you been trying to find solutions for, and problem solving, things for the world, yourself, the dream you want to create?
Music. I've got a hit song now, and I'm going to be recording it in Dallas, and we're gonna get a female vocalist, and it's pop music. But music really has always been my main deal, even though I put it aside for so many years. But that's really the thing. But I'm also a writer, and I'm on my 4th book right now, and so. But I like the live music, That's what I'm wanting to try to get into acting and stuff like that. And I've been just do bit roles, like be bad guys and stuff like that. And I got to be on a set a few years ago as one of 150, extras or whatever. And it's a very magical experience, and seeing how that whole world works and everything like that. And then I've also gotten some insight into it by being around this person who's this 26-year Hollywood veteran, and she's actually given me some training and makeovers and stuff like that, and told me I have absolutely no style, and I have to wear a uniform, and she's told me what my uniform is. And I mean, I'm not saying I believe everything she says, but...
Okay, cool. So, do you have any intuition on any blocks that you have into what you're wanting to manifest? Because you have a pretty good idea of the dream to create forward. What do you need to accumulate what you
Well, I feel a desire to. I'm like an entrepreneur, and just because of the way my dad was and everything like that, I want to. I'm not into money for money's sake or anything like that, but absolutely, I know that I have to be what most people would consider rich, and I put a lot of effort into that, and I'm not as organized as I should be. But I've had some limited success in the past with sales and different business models. But I'm the type of person who works better on a team, and so just trying to put the right team members around me, and I think I've got a really good combination now. So we're, just hoping for the best, and get out there and bust my ass every day. So.
So, in the manifestation and the dream lucidity for this dream, if you were to see your supercomputer as something that you could then interview and put functions into to get it to where everything is working for you to meet your goals, do you need opportunity windows to open up, as well as the right people to be attracted to in life and other stuff? Okay, cool.
Absolutely, yes.
So if I may, I can look at some of the blocks.
Let's do that.
That would be a lot easier to manifest.
Yeah.
I'm getting a lot of it is root, so. Yeah, there seems to be a lot keeping you from. So you've been able to reestablish this over and over again, but while you sleep, something tries to uncreate what you do in grounding, and then which I see this with a lot of people in connecting to the earth as a celestial oneness. Have you been talking to Earth?
I did, and I did a deal with this psychic who's probably somebody that and it was she had me look at this thing on YouTube, and it was like an exercise, and it had these aspects where you're grounding to the earth and stuff like that. And then I haven't been doing these other exercises, but I had another psychic that did this hatha, type deal. We took this 10-minute exercise where, it's all for grounding, apparently. And I don't, that's what I'm told. And I haven't been doing it, like I should have been urged to do these things.
So like in the hologram of your being and light eminence of your spirit that has a bubble of reality and that you form to it, I'm getting that the thread that you pull in the sweater that would unravel the whole thing of negative block. For this big thing would be reclaiming. Something is imprinting onto your hologram. It's hologram rules of a game that you don't have to agree to, but are pretty invasive. So part of it would be reclaiming your hologram of light with each heartbeat and pulse of light, replacing the light that has been externally given to you and darkness with your own internal light slowly, knowing that you have a better version of everything given to you externally inside you, and you can, as you go into trust with yourself that you have it deep within that power, you don't have to, because it requires, to go deeper, it requires you to let go of everything that's not you. But like you can go in a pace that's comfortable for you, that doesn't just like you drop out of like everything that's helping you. But that will lead into less things being externally being able to program your reality, things that want to program traumas, things that like you may have felt in the past of like intense amounts of emotion or whatever. And it will usually be at those points where things will be incurring a reality hologram of light that they have stolen something from you, which doesn't need to exist but takes effort to do. And this can go into abilities such as retrieval of power or soul shards or soul aspects or whatever type of technology is being going into. With the root, you're grounding your manifestation, you're going into abundance, is a lot of you being able to ground out everything you're dealing with very quickly and resolve the issues is being stagnated. That mostly has to do with something imprinting the hologram onto you that it stole something from you. If I may look, age 9, which goes into the period of time where we enter out of a state of innocence, of a childhood where we're protected by all these things at a high degree, and we're given our weight on our shoulders of who we are in past lives and DNA lineage, and it is transferred back to us. And this will go with a lot of timeline and time travel stuff all in a moment or a night while asleep. And you can track back to this date over and over again. And a lot of people, I will see this similarly. I'm getting it has to do with DNA lineage. I'll go into one. How much am I allowed to say about this organism? And okay, so I'll view on a map where it is coming from. What is this? Ooh. Five, 4, 3, 2. That is quite the rare DNA you have. Anything else? I'm not allowed to say that on the air for sure, but I will tell you when we're done. But essentially, the goal is this DNA lineage, by connecting to you, it's not negative. Like in its grand scope, it's actually pretty rare and amazing that you have it. But it will come with negative things because of the being that it goes back to, and the lineage involved, and the users of it, and the skill sets that are involved, and the targeting of that by other beings that want its DNA. So the goal into that would be to creating a shield, kind of quarantine around that DNA introduction and auditing everything involved with it, coming to peace with the being itself and everything that's stealing its authority to continue any type of abuse against you, such as any type of stealing of groundedness or root or earth connection, and then bring it to full resolution and completion of its fracturedness so that it understands what it needs, and you bring healing to yourself of the anything that external that's a problem has an internal reflection inside you that you can bring to healing and wholeness inside you that will then heal it by extension, and that will change the world into itself, which is part of the interesting contract of it.
So is it that I need to do some exercises to bring about what you just described of what I need to do? What type of exercises do I do to try to do that?
In general, just knowing it's there and it is a point of focus, bring it into your focus, and you have a certain amount of energy that you're given daily each moment. And you can increase that based on what you're doing and your DNA and the strategy involved. And directing that towards that goal of completion and being confident that it's getting done, you can initiate, higher self, get on that. And over time it will get completed. You can also do some type of ceremony or ritual or a skill set or ability or healing on yourself or meditation or whatever, yoga, all kinds of things, or working out. Because you can direct energy while you're working out towards an intention and it'll resolve it quite dramatically fast. And is one of the things I like to get into because part of one of my passions besides the abilities is how to understand what it takes to hold up super strength in this timeline, because it is much, much easier to do it in dreams, astral, and when you have an altar unlocked and you go on a mission where it's approved. If you're doing it in this timeline, you have to do it in a way where it doesn't step on the timeline and make it worse, or you get a bunch of targeting onto you and things try to steal your ability and then the ability gets shut down. This is all these types of things people go through in a timeline of trying to attempt super strength and the drama that comes with it. But I have been going into unlocking what it takes to do that. And if you want to work on that, that'd be fun. And we can go into support, because I know you're probably very intuitive and aware of a lot of ways to build muscle and strength, and that you have as well in other times.
Yeah, I like strength training, and I like the concepts of strength and stuff like that.
Thanks, bud.
I like that.
Yeah, and you have the potential for a lot in that for sure. So, or even more advanced techniques based on what rare DNA you have. So that'd be really fun to.
Yeah. I would like to be a not a violent person, but I like to really be able to handle shit, and because the confidence that brings, being able to handle up,
Yeah. So this, I'm not saying you have this or anything, because I'm not trying to put targeting on you. But if someone were to, for instance, have Hercules DNA, then that would have a mystery school into itself that they could tap into, and they could go through that school of unlocking it into their body of what it takes to be the now.
I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. Keep talking. I'm hearing you. You're saying
he had a lot of children, and his children had a lot of children. So
that was really weird what you just said. Yeah. Okay. I don't. That makes sense.
Yeah. So there's other beings that have manifested certain levels of ability that adds to super strength or power or agility or endurance or infinite amounts of energy or mitochondria unlocking, all kinds of everything we have is amazing and maintaining it.
Well, so maybe at some point we'll get together off list, and you might give me a couple of clues as to what these things are, and then 'cause I see what you mean about that deal about Hercules. Or getting with the spiritual or the ceremonial aspect of these ideas or these deities or whatever, and going with that, and that increases your strength and everything. I like that. That's cool.
Yeah. So we've been talking a bunch, so like we can definitely do another show sometime if you want, but like I don't want to keep you for too long.
Oh yeah. I think we've definitely got enough for a show here, and man, I appreciate you taking your time out to be with me.
Oh yeah, I appreciate it, man. Like thank you for doing what you're doing here and holding the flag and keep it going strong and helping so many other people to like wake up and see question of you don't know. If I may, I also will copy the video once you put it up and put it on mine. But if you want to plug your information on how people will reach you, and I'll plug mine.
You bet. And so so I'll tell you what. Any links or anything you got, as soon as we end the call, if you'll send it to me, like on the way that we usually connect, that information, and I'll put it on there, on the comments and everything.
Sure. So like if anyone wants to reach me for like healing or unlocking their DNA or seeing what's going on in the unseen or unlocking government abilities, I'll a very long list of continuation of what we can do together in problem solving. But go to psionicleague.com, as well as I'm under the healing thing and I'm on Facebook, Sean Bond, and on YouTube, and it's trying to help the world, make a unity group, or Lefty Justice League, some type of thing where we can help the planet grow and ourselves.
Absolutely. Let me tell you this, Sean. Okay, there's been some messing. They've been messing with us a little bit during this interview. Not very much, but like when we had to remake those calls and everything. And so but right then, I mean, they were messing with your signal so hard. I mean, it was like obvious.